Okay. I trust that everybody is excited about what's going to happen next.
Amen.
Because I'm not sure what's going to happen next. And I'm excited about it because I know that we are not like some of the churches, like where Troy is this morning. Right about now, the smoke is pouring up from the platform of the church, and they're going, and it sounds crazy. Megan was there with me. She knows what the service is like there, and the young folks love it. The younger, the middle-aged people, and the ones that are 25, 30 that have just started a family, they love it. It's what they're used to when they push it down the radio or play tapes or play something on their cell phone. That's what they're used to. Now, we here in 3515 East Prospect Road, we are a bit different because I'm older than some, but not quite as old as others. We're doing what we know or have learned down through the years. We cannot, we must not, and dare not condemn the style of worship in a church like that. We can't do that. Because every Sunday, they have a baptism pool on the outside the front of the church, off the side of the entrance of the church. They have a baptism pool, and nearly every Sunday they'll baptize anywhere from 10 to 30, sometimes 35 people. Every Sunday. And they don't sprinkle them. They sink them. They put them under. And they don't have any algae in it either. What fun is that? Well, anyhow, the thing of it is, people are getting saved. People are accepting Jesus. When they go to sleep, there's some today, and when they go to sleep tonight, they will go to sleep with the peace in their heart that they have accepted Jesus as their Savior.
Amen.
It's just a different type of presenting the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
They killed Paul because Paul presented something different than they did from the time they could ever remember. They killed Peter because he was, if you don't know what he said, just read the book of Acts. Because Peter shared something that they had been hanging on to for several thousand years. And so today, we here in America, we can't and we must not condemn that. And is it LCBC? Is that with LCB Church? People are getting saved. I don't agree with that type of presentation. And if I was there and one of their pastors, I'd be like a duck out of water. You know, I'd be like one of them stranded ducks in the desert. But the thing of it is, it's working for some people. They're getting saved.
Amen.
Hallelujah. And so today, if you haven't noticed the sign out front, the sign out front reads what? Because somebody has to go out and look at it and check. We changed it for the last 2 or 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks we had
Yellow prayer.
Yellow
for the flag.
grandstand for the flag the last 3 weeks. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And we got a nasty letter about that. Seriously, we got a nasty letter about that. But that's okay because that person was expressing their right to speak and share what they believe. Now, a bit convoluted in the letter is that there's just a kind of an inkling towards us that we don't have the right to do that. But this is not government property.
Amen.
Now, we're not going to put anything anti-government out there, but this is private property.
Yeah.
This property is owned by Jesus Christ, our Savior.
Amen.
You see the character in your bulletin. Slam shut the door. As Randy alluded to, in fact, when Randy was done talking, I talked about we just stand up and say, amen, let's go home. But because he covered it. There's times that there's things that happen in our past that we'll go back and pick it up. And we'll go back and we'll get it now. Somebody like Tanner, he and Elizabeth, they're young yet. They don't have a rotten past yet. They got maybe some things in their past, but they don't have a convoluted past like we adults. And so they can open that door and look back a little bit. But we gotta slam that door shut. There's things of the past, as I wrote there, the things, as the older I get, but the more it comes back. I was sitting yesterday and I was studying and it just flashed back when Nancy was laying sick with pancreatic cancer. And I can't go back there because I have feelings that as a born again believer, it makes it difficult for me to push on. You say, man, there's things in our past that make us, it just hinders us for pursuing the mark. In your bulletin, you found an envelope, and the envelope is, we're here, I'm going to show you something. The envelope is somebody already handed me a card, but the envelope should read, if you had the chance, who would you kick out? Church would be a whole lot better if you get so-and-so out of here.
You see what I did to Mom.
Oh. You tore it up.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Well, the note that I got, somebody else filled it out and handed it to me before I come up here. If you had a chance, who would you kick out of Christ Chapel and why? And the response is, no one, everyone should be welcome.
Amen.
And each person has a little bit different situation in their life. There's things that happen. And also on the back of it, what would you change? Here in November, we're going to have a congregational meeting. We haven't had one for such a long time. We're going to have a congregational meeting. And I want you to be thinking about what we could change. See, on one side is negative and the other side is positive. On the back side, what would you change? What could we change for us to grow? And as I shared Wednesday night at church, that there's probably, in York County alone, there's probably 1,000 preachers who can preach better than me. Probably. So, you get a young guy in here, and he's got a big family, and he's got young friends who are family, and then things start growing. Or, maybe not. Who knows? I think that's wonderful. Isn't this wonderful? Last week, there were no kids here.
Yep.
And that was sad.
Mhm.
I think that's wonderful.
Praise the Lord. They're our future.
I love the sound of little feet. Anyhow, let's get back to where we were. Oh, so each one of you received, and I did this. Nobody else did this. I am the Buanamakubwa. The Buanamakubwa. That's Swahili for the big boss. Now, some might be a little bigger than me. Brian is taller than me. Probably fatter. I go 218 pounds. What do you go?
240 something.
Yeah, he's bigger than me. Yeah. But I'm the one of the people. And there's nobody going to be kicked out of here unless it goes through me.
Amen.
Now, I like to notice, especially if it's given to me, no one, everyone should be welcome. Now, as we move on, if you want to press towards the mark of the high calling in Christ Jesus, we cannot be backbiting.
Amen.
Amen.
Just think about this. If you would get the person or persons out of the church that you really don't care for, wow, what happens when you get to heaven and that person's sitting right beside of you? You're going to say, hey God, get these people out of here. I don't like these people. They're doing something that I don't like. And St. Peter say, are you trying to take control? And then God say, no way, I'm in charge.
Amen.
I'm in charge. So just think about the fact that if you do fill out here a person's name or a family's name on here, first of all, remember God's in charge.
Amen.
Secondly, He put me in charge.
Amen.
For as long as I can talk and not repeat myself. What? I'm in charge.
Amen.
Because God put me in charge and the people voted for me to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it is.
Yep.
So we press toward the mark. I love it. I want you to see, look at I pulled this Bible out. This was given to me on the day of my ordination. February the 5th, 1978.
Wow.
Some of you weren't even born in 1978. Carol looking over the top of her glasses. You were born for 1978.
Me too.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have, as you see, I've written in my Bible. I scribble a lot. You get any one of my Bibles that I have on my desk, and you will find page after page, not every page, but you will find where I have scribbled in it, made notes alongside of it, and marked it so that I don't forget. Because as I get older, my forgetter is getting better. Oh, it's becoming marvelous. Woo, woo. Paul realizing, as it reads there, he realized that he can't go on living the way he used to. And that's what he's talking about in verse 12 of Philippians 3. Not as though I've already attained. He's talking about, he said, I haven't already made it. And I can truthfully say, I haven't already made it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on my way. I had 6 heart attacks. And they put this little thing in me here that runs the wires through my artery and into my heart. So I'm worried. I'm excited.
I especially like the testimony, Judy Conley Wednesday night service, prayer meeting. And she said about, she was somewhere, and this lady came out. She had a walker, and she had a box of something, and she was having trouble walking toward her vehicle. And she said that, and I complain about my situation. An old saying that my dad used to say, said he used to complain about not having shoes. He talked about going to school in the fall year in the hills of Tennessee. It does get cold sometimes in the hills of Tennessee, you get frosty. He said that he didn't have shoes. He didn't own a pair of shoes at 10, 11 years old. How many pairs do you own, Chrissy, at 10, 11 years old? A lot? Enough to start a shoe store, huh?
Yeah, probably as many as I am old.
As many as you are old, at least 40. But Dad said about how he'd be going to school and his feet would be cold and he did the best he could with what he had. And then the older guys would go boom, stomp on his feet. Stomp on his toes. They're already cold and sore. Category bullying. Bullying. Guy Larkin became a successful businessman, a successful developer, a terrific finish carpenter, and if any of you know Larry Prue, Kristen knows Larry Prue,
Yeah.
you'll know that he's a protege of my dad, Guy Larkin. So those bullies in the hills of Tennessee, some of them ended up in prison for running the moonshine liquor. Some of them died early because they got shot because they were involved in running from a revenue men. Guy Larkin come to Pennsylvania and ended up with 6 kids. A successful farmer and a successful carpenter and successful builder. So you see, you have the choice. Okay, you were bullied, shut that door, keep that door shut. Don't open it up. Don't visit there. And Paul's saying, the way I used to act, that's not what God really wants. I have learned that that's not what God really wants. The way I used to act. The way I used to come. Paul, the Apostle Paul, wrote 13 books of the New Testament. 13 books of the New Testament. What did Paul do before he met Jesus on the road to Damascus? He killed Christians. They hunted Christians like the first day of rabbit season. You know, the first day of rabbit season, you're out hunting and you catch something out of the corner of your eye and go, boom! Boom! And you got a pump, you go, boom! 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 Usually the rabbit runs away, you shot 3 shells away. But that's what the Apostle Paul did. He hunted Christians just like you hunted doves or rabbits or what have you, if you were a hunter. That's what he did. Well then, on the road to Damascus, God knocked him flat. You talk about shutting the door. He shut that door. God shut that door for Paul. Just like God shut the door for Moses. He shut that door. Just like he shut the door for Noah. He shut that door. And Ruth and the ones that we read about in the Bible, he shut that door of their past. Slammed it shut. He slammed it on the boat of Paul and road to Damascus. He ended up. Somebody tell me what happened to Paul and road to Damascus. He ended up like blind. And then, when he said to Jesus as his Savior, guess what? Are you excited yet? He accepted Jesus as his Savior, and he wrote 13 books of the New Testament. Praise the Lord. Is anybody with me?
Yeah.
Is anybody here?
Yeah, I'm here.
I love it in Kenya when they say it. Randy can attest to it. They say, if you're here, can I hear a shout? If you're here, can I hear a shout? And the place be sitting full of people. Yeah, I'm here. Look. There's 218 pounds of it. 5'10". I think it's true.
Might be 5'8".
It might be 5'8". Anyhow, when Paul says in verse 13, verse 13, brother, I count myself to have a what? You count myself to what? Have what?
Taking hold of it.
Taken hold, apprehended, taken hold of it. But this one thing I do, forgetting those things for which are behind. Woo, doggy. Forgetting those things for which are behind. What is the mark? We just read it. The key words. Forgetting the past. Forgetting the past and moving on. There's some things in the past that will help us, and that's okay. The things that will help you grow. I remember, believe it or not, I remember as a kid in Sunday school class in New Fairview Churches and Brothers when I was 10, 11, and 12 years old. I remember Charlie Ilias was our one teacher. And I remember it. He taught the boys. Because see there you had to have the boys in one place and the girls in another place. That's the way it was in those days. But anyhow, he taught the boys, and I remember some of the things that he said. September 1st, we were at Tyler and Mercedes Larkin's wedding. I was invited there. When we were sitting down at the reception afterwards, they passed around the drinks, or there was some at your table, and then somebody, the best man, which was Brother Larkin, he gave the toast. He said, "Let's the toast," and it clicked what Charlie Ilias said to me when I was 12 years old. Let's led to our class. Whenever you're in a group or gathering and they ask you to do a toast, you become part of the world when you do the toast. That's what the world does. You do a toast. I remember that. Whether right or wrong, I remember that. And I remember some other things which were taught to me in Sunday school class. And I remember some other preachers who had come there through revivals. I remember that. And that stuff is good to remember. That stuff is good for you to remember to grow. For when you press toward the mark, we forget about the past. Well, Paul's talking about the bad things of our past. There's some bad things in your past? Forget them. I know some people that keep going back and they'll open up that door and they do it like they're proud of it. They share with what I was and like they were proud of it. You share what you were to encourage other people not to do the same thing, that is okay. But when you share it like a badge, one of the things that used to bug me when I was in the construction business, my brothers and my dad and I, every once in a while we'd meet somebody, and they're looking for us to build a house. And you get to talking to them, and they'll say, yeah, I remember that Bernard Smith over there. We were involved in getting him put out of business. Boy, that would make us angry. What gives a person a right to be proud of putting another person out of business who's worked hard, who doesn't get a paycheck every Friday or every 2 weeks or every Thursday? Who if the people don't, there's people still owe me and Miss Nancy Larkin a lot of money. A lot of money. And I had one man stand in my face in Dallastown, the home in Dallastown, and he said, before the day's over, I'm going to own your business. And I said, you couldn't stand the pressure. You couldn't stand it. And guess what? You want to guess what? Well, long after that, he died. And then his wife died. And then they put Kirby over in the county home. Some of you remember Kirby. He had a part of arm missing. He was blind from birth. Sing. He could sing. Boy, could he sing. So let's move on. So the key is forgetting the past. Move on for the prize. What's the prize? Paul says putting everything behind and reaching forward for the things which are before. And then in verse 14 he says, I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling. Isn't that wonderful? Amen. I press towards the mark for the prize. Tanner, when you played lacrosse, when you played football, the prize was to score. You had to score. And you and I as a believer, we have to score. We have to continue to push towards the mark. We have to continue to push towards the prize. And what's the prize? Heaven. Push towards the prize is heaven. That's our final goal. I played football for dear old Red Line High. Where look back to the golden flag. Dear old Red Line High. I remember that. The sight of thy majestic halls of models overstrung, the fondest memories recall that I have ever known. I learned that when I was Tanner's age. Do they still sing at 10? Mm-hmm. Oh, they do. No, something like that. He's shaking his head. He's shaking his head no, you're shaking your head yes.
He just doesn't know
I don't think they make them learn it anymore.
You don't even learn it, but I know it, I remember it.
But you guys had to learn it, didn't you?
Pardon?
You guys were taught.
Oh, yeah. We sang it every Friday morning at Pep Rally. And those are some of the things that were neat things to remember. That's not what Paul's talking about. He's talking about the things of your past that hinders you from reaching that prize. Now we're going to move on. Verse 14. What is the key statement? You just heard it.
Press towards the goal to win the prize of which God is calling you heavenward in Christ Jesus.
That's the key statement. To press towards the call, the prize, the calling. Whichever translation and paraphrase edition you're reading. I'm so excited about this, I can't understand it. Now, there are some things we can't expect to get the prize if we're concerned so much about the way somebody else is. Oh my goodness. Oh my. There, oh, golly. There's dust on the pumpkin and the leaves. Oh. Well, if I was cleaning, there wouldn't be no dust on there. Come on, work with me, church. If I was a preacher, I'll tell you what I would say.
Yeah.
Come on,
Right. Dust it yourself.
here you are. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll sit back here and you can go ahead and preach. Like I said, I was excited about Randy. He was just heading where I was. He was opening the door for me to continue. You see, well, if I was mowing the yard, I'd trim around every one of those tombstones. Yeah, buddy, get your weed eater and come over here.
Yeah. Move all the stuff that's around them before you do it. And then put it back.
You talking about their husband? But if I was doing it, I'll tell you what, I'd do it a whole lot different. Well, hallelujah.
Come and do it, that way he can spend some time at home.
Hallelujah. If you can do it better, do it.
Amen. Yep.
Especially when John's out here in 75 and 80, 90-degree weather out here mowing the grass.
Praise the Lord.
Go home and get your weed eater, come and help him.
That's right.
Oh, wait a minute here. Oh. How are you going to get that prize if you're rumbling around about somebody else? How? How are you going to get that prize?
You can't.
Tanner, you played football.
I enjoyed it, yes, I did.
Yeah, you did before.
Yes.
Did you ever sit in the bench?
Little.
Okay, you sat in the bench. Did you hear the other guy sitting on the bench? Well, if I'd been running that ball,
Yeah.
I would have never done that. The guy sitting on the bench. I would have never done it like that. Look at him, he's crazy. You're stupid. Why do you run like that? I remember the time I had a lot of work to do in the Saturday morning game on the Niskey Field. I don't know if it even exists anymore.
Yes, it does.
Still does?
Yes, sir.
And I come out there, I got to school, I got in the closet, they'd already been out to the game on Saturday morning and Saturday after right after lunch, something like that. And I run and I got into the gym and got dressed, got my suit on, and I drove my car up to Niskey's Field, and I got up there, and Ron Fiskey, he hollered at me, "What the H is going on? You come in here late." I said, "I had to work," and I did. I had to work at home, and work I had to do before I could go to the game.
Now, there's certain work that I had to do before it go to the game. You had to use the tractor. And the tractor, you say, why are you going back on this? This is something. You open the door and go back. This is one of the learning points for me. And so, I was late because I couldn't get the tractor started. And so I got the crank, and I cranked it, and it wouldn't start, and I beat that tractor. It's still sitting at our house with the marks from where I beat it with the crank. And guess what? It still didn't start. And so what I had to do, myself and my younger brother, what I had to do is we had to do everything by hand. So I go jumping in there, and I said, I'm all dressed up, I've got the thing on, and I'm just ready to play football. And Ron Fiske says, okay, Larkin, you're up. And I was so happy that I had a chance to play. Some of you heard this story before, and you're going to hear it again because, hey, at my age, I repeat some things. Well, the ball kicked, and the other side fumbled it, and I grabbed it, and I ran. I picked it up, and I ran. I ran the wrong way. I scored a touchdown, and they gave it to the other team. I ran the wrong way. The story of my life sometimes, I ran the wrong way. I went the wrong way. I realized that I had to be in the winning team, and I had to run for the winning team. Amen?
Amen.
Got to run for the winning team. You cannot expect the prize of getting to heaven and having God answer your prayers if you're grumbling and growling about other people in the church.
Amen.
I don't care if it's a big church or small church. Just like I run the wrong way after I got the football. Man, I remember the running. I was so happy, and I couldn't understand why there was nobody chasing me. I didn't get the prize because I ran the wrong way. If you're running the wrong way, you're not going to get the prize. I don't care what happened to you. June the 3rd, I had my 6th heart attack. Barb was with me. Earlier that day, it was a family reunion. We were at the family reunion, all of us. And they said, well, if you got to the point you felt you needed to call 911, would you do it? And I said, yes, I would. And they said, yeah, right, that's right. Oh, yeah, you would. Well, I got to the point. I told Barbara, call 911. Get the ambulance here. Now, I had every right to stand there and stand here and say, God, why did you let that happen to me? Which brings me to a young lady, she's younger than me. Thursday a week ago. Some of you know the story if you're here Wednesday night, you heard the story. So you're going to hear the story again. Carol didn't hear the story, right, Carol? You're going to hear it for the first time. Young man, I was in the runner store in Red Line. The young man walked in and Maggie says, you know that guy? And I looked at him. He's a good, close to 6 foot, not quite maybe. Beefed, not fat, but he probably had a 6 or 8 pack. I'm not sure. He had a shirt on. He said, that's Chico. Well, I remember the name Chico. I remember Chico because I remember when Chico was that small. I remember when Chico had diapers, wore diapers. And I remember Chico's grandma. Because Chico had a worthless mother and dad who kicked him out, took him to his grandma and left him. And grandma raised him, and that's why he called her mom. And he says, well, mom's out in the car. And so the next thing I know, here he comes in with her. Now she'd had hip problems, so she hugged me and kissed me and said about how happy she was and to know the Larkins, that she worked for the Larkins, and we always treated our people good. And she went on in that part of our past. And you always like to hear the good stuff about your past. You want to hear the good stuff about your past, right? Amen.
Amen.
You know, two pitiful ignorance. You want to hear good parts about the past.
Amen.
You did good. Attaboy. I'm so happy you did good in your past. Well, we don't know what the future holds, so enjoy what you got today.
Amen.
So I talked a little bit to her, and I said to her, are you living for the Lord? Well, she said, right now I'm provoked with him. I said, what do you mean? She said, I'm provoked with God because he's not answering my prayers. Well, I'm telling you, right here, if you're one of those people complaining about other people, God's not going to answer your prayers.
Amen.
Everybody in here is a dog. And they know the word bitch. It's a female dog. Or it's a word used for complaining about other people or other things.
That's right.
Well, anyhow, she told me that because God isn't answered my prayers and I got so much wrong with me, she had hip problems, she had heart, she had just all kinds of stuff wrong with her. And see, I knew her. I knew her past. As I knew my past. And I told her, I said, well, you've had X amount of years to destroy your perfect body, as I have destroyed my perfect body that God gave me. And I told her, I said, well, you should trust in God. Remember, as she left, remember, put your trust in God. That was Thursday, and Saturday she died. I didn't realize until Monday that she was dead. She died. So if you're pressing toward the mark for the prize of the high calling in Christ Jesus, of God in Christ Jesus, if you're pressing toward the mark and you're pressing toward the mark, stop bitching.
Amen.
Stop complaining.
Amen.
A little bit after my 6th heart attack, we're in there, they come in they drop this thing that looked like a training rod. I wasn't built for that.
You were right, sir.
Then they had this big 5-pound pack that I carried with me. Right? I carried that 5-pound pack from June the 8th or 7th until September the 6th.
Amen.
And I never did grow into it.
Or do you like?
And I had a lot to complain about day after day. At first I did. But then, as time went on, I actually got used to it. I'd shower, take it off, next thing you know, as soon as I got out, I put it on. Every once in a while I forget to charge the battery. But I complained about it at first. But then I realized God has given somebody the wisdom to develop such a thing. That if my heart would defibrillate, during defibrillating, I would get a shock. And And it came with a warning, if you get shot, don't tell other people around you, just call 911. Don't let them touch you because they'll get shot. So I lived with that misery. It was miserable. We went to Ocean City with the kids. Imagine being in Ocean City, sitting out on the beach with that thing hanging on. Well, then the doctor said, well, we're going to give you a defibrillator and a pacemaker thing. And they put it in here and going to shove it. They said, what do you do? He said, well, we shove the wires through your artery and then it goes around and into your heart. I had a problem with that for a while. I told him, I said, well, all we try and take over for God, and when God says it's over, it's over. Well, he said, that's right. Well, and I was praying about it and thinking about it and getting closer and closer to the time to do this, and I'm thinking about this, and then I realized, well, listen, God revealed to me, well, you have store-bought teeth to help you chew. You have glasses to help you see. Why not have that defibrillator, pacemaker, to help your heart? God gave somebody the intelligence to develop such a thing.
Amen.
And the intelligence to put it in.
Pardon?
And the intelligence to put it in.
And the intelligence to put it in and to shove it in the right artery. You know, shove it in the right place, shove it in the wrong place. And then, of course, when they were telling me about it, Bart was sitting there listening to him when he talked about it. And he said, God forbid some of the things could go wrong as a wire come out through the side of your heart. Guess what? If you still have your Bibles, turn over to Philippians 4:4.
Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice.
Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice. Again I say rejoice. Woe is me. Oh, I had so many heart attacks. Now I've got this thing sticking in my chest. And I can't do this and I can't do that.
You wouldn't have that in you, you wouldn't be headed for Kenya.
That's right.
Praise the Lord.
It's like my store-bought teeth. I use them to chew better. I use my glasses to see better. And I have that. So you're right.
Amen.
So I'm rejoicing in the Lord. How about standing and sing that with me?